Scheme 2016 comes into effect from tomorrow, which provides an opportunity to all the persons who have not declared income correctly in the earlier years to come forward and declare such undisclosed income. Now, under the scheme, such income as declared by the eligible persons would be taxed at the rate of 45% of the income declared under the scheme.
The Income Declaration Scheme 2016 provides an opportunity to all persons who have not declared income correctly in earlier years to come forward and declare such undisclosed income. It was announced by the government with an aim to fish out black money from the domestic economy. To further clear doubts and questions on the scheme, the INB Ministry organized a talkathon on Income Disclosure Scheme 2.
It is a scheme which believes in the taxpayer. So what we are saying is you come forward, you give a declaration, and you give this necessary declaration also that you are covered under the income disclosure scheme and you are not covered under,
under
exceptions. If we find subsequently that आप जो थे वो prevention of corruption में आप जो फंसे हुए थे आपने किया है तो ये void हो जाएगा.
Such income declared would be taxed at the rate of 30% plus a surcharge of 7.5% on the taxes payable and a penalty at the rate of 7.5% of the taxes payable, thereby totaling to 45% of the income declared under the scheme. The scheme shall remain in force for a period of 4 months from June 1st, 2016 to September 30, 2016. The declarations can either be made online on the official e-filing website of the Income Tax Department or before the various regional principal commissioners of IT. The scheme shall apply to undisclosed income, whether in the form of investment in assets or otherwise, pertaining to financial year 2015-16 or earlier. Assets specified in the declaration shall be exempted from wealth tax. No scrutiny and enquiry under the Income Tax Act or the Wealth Tax Act shall be undertaken in respect of such declarations. Under the Income Declaration Scheme, people making disclosure of unaccounted assets will be given time up to November 30 to pay taxes, penalty and surcharge. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley, who is in Japan, has underlined that the compliance window is open to not only the companies but also the people having undisclosed income. He has cautioned black money holders to declare the ill-gotten wealth and sleep well eventually. This scheme of the government will play an important role in curbing the undisclosed income in the country. Bureau Report, DD News.
And to talk more on this, we have Mr. Ved Jain with us. He's a tax expert and he will decode further the Income Declaration Scheme 2016. Sir, how far will this declaration scheme help in giving more teeth to the government in its fight against black money at one point? And also, on the other hand, how far will it help the declarant eventually sleep well?
I see that as far as the teeth we are talking about, the government will get it. For the last many years, the debate is on the black money. And I believe the government has been working on this. Government is trying to chase those people who have not declared the money. And in order to address this issue, the government came out with a black money scheme in respect of the foreign bank account and the foreign assets last year. And after coming out with this scheme, there was a discussion going on that the black money is not only what is outside India, there are a lot of black money is within India also. And that the government thought it fit to come out with a scheme and giving a last opportunity, I believe, to the people who have earned money and have not paid the taxes. And that's why this scheme has been introduced, which we call a compliance window, giving you an option within 120 days to come out clean that if you have earned some income on which you have not paid taxes in the past, now you pay the taxes. And in order to address this issue, the government has said the overall tax effect is 45%, which comprises of 3 components, 30% tax penalty and then Krishi Kalyan cess.
Yes.
Now, this is an opportunity given by the government to the various people who have earned money income in the past. Now, as when we see the scheme is that this scheme gives an option only to the people who have earned income from the legitimate sources, businesses, which is not illegal. So this is very, very important because there's a lot of restriction under this scheme that the income which is arising from what we call is covered by the Prevention of Corruption Act, Drugs, Narcotic and Drug Acts, any action which is terrorism, which is any action is extortions, which is illegal. All those money which cannot be declared because that's an action which is under the Indian Penal Code can be taken. So that's why a scheme, this is a good opportunity for all the business. And when we talk of the black money, See, my impression is black money is not limited to the money which is earned in business. I believe the black money is a money which is earned even from the illegitimate sources. Yeah. And as I said, the other actions, other black money, corruption, etc., cannot be a part of this scheme. So if it cannot be a part of the scheme, so we cannot expect from this scheme that every black money which is within the country all will get covered in this scheme. That's the issue which is.
The government has announced the scheme, but eventually the success of it rests on the declarant coming forward and declaring that he owes black money, he owns black money. Now, we'll talk of the immunity which has been announced. It is rather immunity is only under the IT Act and the Wealth Act, which means that the declarant will not have blanket immunity from the declarations he makes. Does that somewhere deter the declarant?
I believe the intent is to give an immunity. I will not say the intent of the legislature as well as the government is not to stop immunity. Those people who are coming within the declaration, probably they will not be touched upon in respect to the declaration. But one thing which you are probably right is that this scheme allows declaration, as we were reading it out from the statement from the finance minister also, that this is not intended for the common person or man, it is also for the companies also. But unfortunately, if you look into this scheme, so there is no immunity under the Companies Act. So I was just wondering what happened in case a company comes out and make a declaration in the Income Tax Act, pays taxes, and tomorrow the company is hauled up under the Companies Act that you have earned some income which you have not accounted for in your books of account. So probably that may be the challenge. The second issue is the eligibility criteria. So there are a lot of filters which have been applied to make it sure that all those income which is already within the knowledge of the Income Tax Department or for which notice have been issued, all those people have been made ineligible under this scheme. The scheme says that any person who has been issued by notice by the Income Tax Department, person who are being assessed in the Income Tax Department, where the assessments are on, scrutiny assessments are on, which may be normal scrutiny assessment. It's not that the scheme is on only those assessments where that particular income is being supposed to be assessed. Because the scheme says 143.2, which we call a normal assessment, where the assessment is on for income escaping assessment, where there has been search and seizure, where there have been seizure. So all those people cannot be part of this scheme and they are not eligible to come and make a declaration. So one thing which I looking into is that in case so many people who really probably will be having the black money, having been made ineligible to be participating in this scheme, probably the window is too narrow and it may not allow many people who may have the black money to come forward and declare under this scheme.
All right, very quickly, a comment on the tax rate itself. On one point, we see it being 45%. Is it really too steep in the sense that the highest personal tax rate is 35.535%? At the same point, the tax will be based on the fair market value of the asset as on 1st of June 2016, which means that the original cost of the asset could be lesser.
I believe, taking into consideration the public perception, the government has thought fit to keep the rate a little higher as compared to the normal rate. Because if we charge the normal rate on an income which is black money on which taxes have not been paid in the past, the person who has been paying regularly taxes, he has a grievance that I have paid the taxes 3 years back, 5 years back, and the rates are the same which as it is, the person has defaulted. So that's why the government has carefully planned at 45%. Giving it an impression that 30% is the tax and 15%, 50% of that is the penalty. So I don't see any issue about that, the tax rate probably. Okay. But the second point is more important point, the fair market value. Now it says that you may have earned an income of 5 lakh rupees or 7 lakh or 10 lakh rupees 3 years down the line or 5 years down the line. But in case you have used that money for buying any asset, which can be a property, which can be shares, which can be jewelry, which can be any other asset. The value of that asset has to be valued as on 1st June 2016, that is tomorrow. And if that value is higher than the cost of acquisition, then you are supposed to pay tax at the rate of 45% on that income. Now, these have two challenges. One, per se the tax rate will go up many times, because in case the property has been bought for 10 lakh rupees, it has gone up to now 1 crore rupees. So your tax rate will be on 10 lakh rupees, will 45 lakh rupees, which is a multiple of the income which you have earned. Secondly, it may make a little difficult for the person himself to come forward, even if he intend to do it, because he doesn't have the funds available with him. You have bought a property, the funds are blocked.
Right.
You're living in that house, you can't sell it a house, and then you still need to pay 45 lakh rupees. He may not have the real fund. So that may also be a challenge for the person to come forward for the declaration. But I believe the scheme is overall good. 45% in case any person who has earned income on which he has not paid the taxes, this is the right time for him to come forward, just pay 45%, have a comfortable sleep,
and sleep
say,
well.
I'll well sleep well. That's an issue which I believe. That's a good scheme.
All right.
But there are some issues. I believe over a period down the line, the CBDT and the Ministry of Finance will be coming out with some clarification, addressing some of the issue about immunity and how companies will be taken care of under the Companies Act.
All right.
So those issues probably may get addressed over a period.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for joining us this evening on Newsnight. That was Mr. Ved Jain further decoding the Income Tax Declaration Scheme 2016, which will come into effect from tomorrow onwards.